Um, Sir, how are you and your family holding up? How's 2024 been? It's been over a month since Matthew and Savannah's death. Police have arrested 3 people. They remain in jail. Um, how is the healing process going?
Pretty much every day is getting a little bit better. You know, some days are not so good. Some days are better than others, obviously. But time's helping, and staying busy with keeping up with court dates and is helping out a little bit.
And recently, police released back Matthew and Savannah's apartment back to you guys because you were the emergency contact. Did you find anything of sentimental value in there? Did you find anything? You found Pedro's Christmas present from Savannah. Did you all find something special that you can remember him by?
Pretty much his clothes. I can, still smell him, or his cologne. Little things here and there from the baby.
Some sonograms. We found some sonograms there too that we were able to, have, and I wanted to put some in some frames.
And you'd never seen the sonogram pictures?
Oh no, we have. She would Savannah would text us when she would have her appointment and send us pictures of the sonograms, but now we actually have the copies of them.
What was the hardest thing for you guys? I guess it's good, right? Police say the apartment's back. You can do whatever you want with it. But what was the hardest thing, I guess, going back in there after everything that's happened?
Everything. Just removing everything.
You said when you went through his clothes, you could smell him. You could obviously feel their presence still there. Did it bring back all of the things that you remember him as, right? Raquel, what are some of the things that you're doing to help Gabriel through all of this? Things keep him busy, but
yeah, I try to distract him, keep him busy with things. We're also planning a celebration of life party for Matthew. We're gonna have it in about a week and a half, so we've been doing things, getting that ready, and we just trying to remember the good times, and focusing on our daughter as well. She's taking it pretty hard, and so she just started like volleyball practices again, so just trying to be there for her as well, and about positive things.
And Matthew, was he your only son, or was he your oldest?
He was my only son, and then I have 2 stepsons with Raquel, and then we have a daughter, Brianna.
And how is the rest of the kids taking it? How are they? I'm sure they're very protective of you and everything that's happened. It's a story that the community has really been invested in, and really wanting to know and to help. And I think they were very instrumental in finding the people behind bars.
Yeah, they're taking it hard.
Yeah, very hard. They were very close. Even though they were stepbrothers, they were raised together. Every day. Being together, and even as adults, as they moved out, as adults and everyone went their separate ways, they were still very close. Kept in contact all the time. Would text each other every other day. So they are taking it very hard, unfortunately. But they're working through it.
And the celebration of life event you're holding, is that just for family, or is that for the community? Is that something that you felt was necessary for everyone to kind of bring closure?
It's for family and some of Matthew's friends, just to kind of like the vigil. It was helpful for me. A lot of good memories and stories.
What do you want the community and viewers to remember about Matthew?
Unfortunately, he's being judged on, the latest chapter in his life, and that's not who he was, or the plans on who he wanted to become. He was full of life, full of joy, excited to start the next chapter in his life, and move on. And there was a lot of plans for him in Savannah. Unfortunately, they didn't get a chance to live out.
And they had a relationship that people at that young, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's hard to stay together, but they really fought to be together. And that relationship is now bringing your families together with the Soto family. And you guys, how does that make you feel that when there was tension, now there seems to be a peace, a reconnection of, you know, let's just move forward and let's, you know, when the trial starts, right, you
Right.
all are going to be a united front as opposed to, you know, separate.
I think we're all on the same page. You know, we all want justice, and understandably there was tension in the beginning, and I think we all want the same thing. But at the end of the day, I still don't think, even to this day, people won't realize how close Savannah and Matthew were, and how inseparable they were, and I know that they wouldn't want this. You know, they wouldn't want any bitterness or fighting or between the two families. And you know, they're hurting just like us. They're hurting just like us. They lost a child and a grandchild, and you know, my heart goes out to them.
And Savannah and Matthew, they met in school, in high school, or how did they meet?
I believe they met through a mutual friend.
Oh, okay. And so, what's the next step for you guys? I know that you said you've been keeping up with court dates, things of that nature. When is? I know that there was a bond reduction hearing scheduled for sometime in the future, maybe in the next few weeks. What are your thoughts on seeing who was arrested, hearing from the DA? You know, he will seek the death penalty because that's what he feels they deserve.
There's a lot of decisions that need to be made. I spoke to the DA's office, to the first chair prosecutor yesterday, and you know, he still plans on bringing in all the families individually and talking to them. But you know, we plan to be at every single court date, just to let them know that you know, we're going to be Matthew and Savannah's and Fabian's voice. And I don't believe that in the nature of the mom and dad, everything they did, it wasn't no small infraction. You know, those were people that they left out there during the holidays, and they deserve the bonds that they have. And also too, working with the DA and speaking with them on adding Fabian's name. No one's been charged for Fabian's murder as of yet, and that's important to me. He was a person. My wife and I released a picture of baby Fabian out on my social media not too long ago, and it's important to me. You know, he was a person.
And the baby died, you know, a slow, right? And that's, I think, the hardest, even as a mother, to know how the baby died just breaks your heart, because right, the oxygen just, and he didn't even know, right? You talk about how the community is judging Matthew,
Right.
maybe judging you and your family. How unfair, and how I'm sure that brings you a lot of anger and frustration, because in addition to you trying to heal and move forward, right? You probably feel this when you're out in the community trying to work and do all these things, but then you feel that judgment. How do you deal with that?
I think most of it is lack of information. For one, that I didn't raise Matthew right. You know, I tried multiple things with him every day. You know, until 2-3 days before he passed. You know, I worked on it with him all the time. I think most of the judging that I can think of is coming from younger people who, you know, they really haven't experienced life, and you know, young people really never think nothing's going to happen to them. You know, they don't think of that way. You know, I don't necessarily believe, it's not fair, but it really, at the end of the day, it really doesn't affect me. Of course, no parent wants their child thought of or talked of in a negative way, but I know who Matthew was, and the plans we had and what we were going to do, and the people around him, friends, family, they knew, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters to me.
And it seemed like from Savannah's family, the baby was really a new chapter for both of them. It was really their new beginning as a family together, and it's got to just break your heart, and they never got that chance.
Most definitely. I made some changes myself, when I was younger to the person I am today, and you could literally, see that excitement change in both of them. Matthew and me would have these long talks, and Savannah was just, it was everywhere. It's everything to her and everything to them, and it was a new focus for them and a new start for them, and for them to not get that second chance, it's questioned my faith, amongst other things.
Well, don't let it question your faith. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Anything that I didn't ask you about that you want to make sure the community knows about? And I think it's telling that you want to be at the trial every day to look at them, to make it known that you want to, I'm assuming you want to have them see you, and see the people, right? They did not just take away three lives, but they took away part of you.
Yeah. And our children's world, our world, it just wasn't, three people, it was, he was a brother, gonna be a father, he was a nephew, a grandchild, he's gonna be missed. He meant a lot to a lot of people.
Future plans for me, my first grandchild, I was super excited.
Yeah, we were so excited.
What do you want to say to the Ramon son, the stepmom? Anything you want to say to them?
Just to be parents and to leave them out there where they did, how they did during the holidays, to be posting, having Merry Christmas to all, and while they knew we were looking for them, we weren't having a good Christmas. It shows a lot of what kind of people they are. I called, I don't know how many bail bondsmen yesterday, letting them know that there was a bond reduction coming up and who these people were and what they did, and to think of it more as business and not take these people's money or not give them bonds.
What has their reaction been? Have they just?
I got a couple. Every bondsman company that called, I talked to some employees, some managers, some owners, and everyone knew about it. Everyone read about it. They said that there was a couple owners who said he wasn't going to touch the case. There was a lot of them saying that they were just in shock, and they would definitely pass the note forward, and made my wishes known to the owners, and they could understand where I was coming from.
I have a few questions for you. How does this story end for y'all?
At the end of the day, Matthew's never come back, Savannah's come back, Family's not come back. It's just, this can't be in vain. Like, some good needs to come out of it somehow, some way. For one, there's got to be justice. And some kind of healing on our part.
What does justice look like for y'all?
Death. A needle in someone's arm. Like you said, it was unimaginable slow pain and death for Fabian, and for Matt and Savannah as well. Whoever got killed second, knew it was coming. So I guess like Pedro said, there's got to be some kind of, they're breathing. They can, even if they get life in prison, they would still be able to get notes and letters, and to me that wouldn't be justice. So I already called the DA's office, and I was requesting the name of everyone on the panel that's going to vote, and I need these people held accountable. I think there's only been like 3 times they voted for the death penalty, and Mr. Gonzalez's term, but there is no excuse. Savannah was obviously pregnant, and even if it was a planned robbery, like I think it was, how do you not call it off when you see a pregnant girl? You know, what was the urgency? It had to be that night, or. And without saying too much, I've spoken to Detective Goodwin, and there was no reason to believe anything was gonna go bad that night, you know, without saying too much. So I just don't understand why he would have carried it out, why he couldn't wait till maybe next time when Savannah wasn't there, you know, but even at that, you know, I understand he had a trust fund in 3-4 years or something like that. He had money in a house, and you know, what was the urgency? What was the, I don't understand, to take someone's life over that, in that manner, and then just to leave him the way they left him. So, most definitely.
What about for his family?
Like I said, I mean, I never bailed Matthew out. I always held him accountable. I always try to help him make better choices and change his future. But, you know, I would never do something like that. I would tell my wife all the time, if the situation was reversed, at very best, I'd be like, Matt, turn yourself in. It's going to help you. It's going to look better. You know, I wouldn't be like, hey, let's go dump the bodies and let's have a Merry Christmas and put up a front and hopefully no one catches us. You know, that wasn't a piece of trash. Those were 2 people and a baby that sat there for 4 days.
Decomposing. And they knew where they were.
And, you know, it was everywhere. This was a big story. And they saw the families on TV pleading for help. And, you know, obviously the worst Christmas I ever had. And to know it could have prevented her, you know, I think they need to do some serious time too. I think they're looking at 40, 50 years or something to that amount. So.
And it could be concurrent because of
yeah, most definitely. But
the number of people.
Right. But like I said, you know, with their age and that, hopefully, you know, they get a good enough term where when they come out, I want them to have nothing and to there to be nothing. And you know, this isn't over with just as Christopher. You know, I plan on getting justice for Matthew, Savannah, and Fabian, and anything that I can do legally or however, that's what I plan on doing. And you know, I even find it, you know, that they're trying to get out, or I don't even know how they're asking for a bail reduction when they have court-appointed lawyers. You know, so I don't understand how that works. But
you mentioned your faith earlier, and it strikes me like, how do you not keep from crying every time you think about it? I see y'all fighting back the tears.
You can only, it's because I've done it already for a couple hours this morning. I have a conversation with Matthew every day. So physically, you could only cry for so long. But you know, like I tell my wife, I don't know if I will ever accept this as God's plan, or you know, this is how it was designed to be. But at the same time, you know, He's blessed me with capturing the suspects and having someone to point the finger at and hold accountable to. You know, and there's a lot of murders out there that don't get solved, and the frustration, and you know, it's so I don't know. He's been good and He's not been good.
What do you tell the other families that go through similar experiences?
Oh man, it's actually been the other way around. People whose experiences have actually come and comforted us, and it's tough when people, oh, how you been? You know, you don't know how to answer. Oh, I'm fine. You know, that's a short answer that you want to get to. But when you find someone who's gone through something like this, you know, everything they tell you is exactly what you're going through. So it helps. It helps to have someone like that to talk to.
Do y'all plan on becoming any type of survivor support group, or are y'all members of any?
We're taking individually grief counseling right now, but as far as doing something like that, I think I'm just trying to get through today, tomorrow, before I can think of something like that.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You're the first person that I've spoken to where they've taken the steps to call the bonds people and said, and maybe they have and they just never, your proactiveness of saying, I don't know how many bail bondsmen you called yesterday, maybe
Neither.
a dozen or so.
A lot.
Because there's a lot in this city. And then to take the extra step to call the DA's office and say, I want to talk to the panel of, right, and let them know how important it is to get the death penalty as an option or the option if they are convicted. Because there's a lot of talk of Joe Gonzalez being soft on crime, being very, he's a lot of conservatives, a lot of city and county officials feel that he has let a lot of criminals go
Correct.
and that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that the DA's office has been very receptive and talking to you.
And it's actually the complete opposite. I'm thinking I'm going to have to go over there and call, because I've called multiple times. I'm already on a first name basis with the lead investigator, with the first chair prosecutor, with the victim's advocate. And I'm thinking I'm going to have to terrorize these people and call them, and it's the exact opposite. I spoke to the first chair prosecutor for the 290th Court yesterday, and I was kind of shocked because he took a minute and he was like, I just wanted to know, here at the DA's office, we have a little prayer time every morning for the Sotos and all the families involved, us, and I can see how big this case was and how much attention it got, and that's one something that comforts me, that I think that will put the pressure not only on the DA but on the panel as well. And like I said, they're public servants with their job that they have. I think it's just a matter of time before I get their names put out there. And even the bondsmen yesterday, there were multiple ones who were like, hey, you know what, here, these are the ones you want to call, these are the big guys, because of the amount of the bonds, these little guys aren't going to touch them, but if anyone's going to get them out, it's going to be these big guys. And I just let everyone know that I wasn't threatening anyone in no way, shape, or form, but if a bondsman do get them out, I'm going to make sure and let everyone know what bondsman that is, and what kind of business they take, because not all money is good money, obviously, and I think they should stay in there, and this is something horrendous, and for them to help and to be parents, and for a baby, and all these families to be out there, and everyone be looking, and to not do the right thing, and even Mirita, how she was non-cooperative, to the perp walk. She just was, from what I've been told, the investigators, it shows no remorse, and from what I hear, the families are making it the priority to get her out first. And, I don't want that. I want everyone to know, that she deserves to be in there and she should stay in there.
She's just as guilty.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
No question. She's just as guilty. I mean, and then whether or not you did what have you, you knew. And you knew Savannah was pregnant. That's the whole thing that just...
Right.
Where you went, and then when you're pregnant, and you know how you feel when you're that.
Most definitely.
So I can only imagine how awful. Like, she just felt heavy. I mean, to miss her induced date, she passed her due date, and then to have her doctor say, oh, you need to be induced, and then you missed that date. I mean, horrible. Like,
she was so excited. She would always text me about, oh, I'm going to have to be induced, and I wish the baby would be here already, and she was just so anxious for him.
That's what her dad was saying. That she was so excited.
She was ready. We had got her my wife had got her a bottle cleaner, and that was one of the first things I noticed when I went to the apartment, that she already had it opened up. She had it set up on the sink.
Because a couple days before the I'd asked her if she needed any little things, and she gave me a little list.
No,
She gave me a little list.